everyone, we're focusing on the CSX LCL subdivision today. It runs about 100 miles between Louisville and Covington. I wanted to head back to Louisville and get some video of the CSX Osborne Yard. Heading down I-71, I decided to stop off at Glencoe and check the signals. I saw a southbound high green. I thought about getting set up and waiting, but I knew Worthville was just about 20 minutes away. I decided to chance it and head there to catch whatever was coming. I like Worthville for a few reasons. It's nice and open, so you can get a pretty good shot. Plus it has the L&N Railroad Bridge over the Kentucky River. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I love shooting bridges. If you look here, you can see them scrapping some rail that had been recently replaced. It wasn't long before Q353, a daily Chicago to Louisville, appeared.
Clear, north end of Worthville, X353, 3422 southbound. Look good, light hanging. Clear, south end of Worthville, X353, 3422 southbound. 3, over. Look good there, dude, got a line. All right, thank you now.
That thing, is it going to Louisville or Old Bannon?
I didn't think I was in for much with only a single engine, an ET44AH on the head end, but this train just kept coming.
We're going to take a few here and a few there.
Because it looks like it's in all empties.
We got like 10 loads, I think. Rest are empties. Some of them are billed to Ohio, but they're going to O'Bannon, I guess.
I meant to tell you, I met another one of your cousins last night.
Jimmy, the one that got the body shop out there?
I know Jimmy, Cheryl.
Oh, yeah. She's a sweetheart, ain't she?
Where my daughter, I've known her for a few years now. She, where my daughter and wife work, she keeps her horse at that barn.
Yeah, there's a lot of us. Dad had like 13 in his family.
That's what she said. Y'all be careful going in, Vance. I'll talk to you later.
All right, you guys have a good one now. Clear, C52, X353, 3422, southbound. Thanks for Maxwell, Mary 784, over. 784, go ahead. Yeah, I'm going to go over to 80, bring him up. Somebody said no.
We'll hear the defect detector in just a bit, but this thing just won't stop. A single DPU brings up the second half.
Follow at 80.
CSX LG X5, X35313, over. What's your current mile number?
CSXT, you pass it to 4410, move up 45376. North end of Worthville, side into main north end.
LG X5, X35313. Alright, Harsted's going to meet you down here at Whipsville or HK Tower anyhow. He wants you to cut the train at the DP engine and then take the head-end portion to Louisville, leave the rest down there, and then he'll meet you down there. That's correct, over. Thank you.
Grange, X353, 3422 southbound.
Finally, the end is in sight. I thought about heading straight to Louisville, but wondered, could I beat this monster to LaGrange? I figured I'd been able to beat it here, let's try again and head to LaGrange. While driving, I caught the defect detector.
No defect. Total axle 578. Train lane 1355. End of transmission.
That's right, 13,555 feet long. As far as I can remember, that's the longest train I've ever caught. When I got to LaGrange, the signal had good news for me, letting me know that I had in fact beat the train here. I rushed to get everything set up, but it would be another half hour or so before 353 got here. I did see something I've never seen before in person, the Lorem rail grinder. It was in the siding and looked to be getting its water tanks filled up. A day after shooting this, I saw a few rail fans post some pictures of it in action with sparks flying. I wish I had caught it in action, but it was pretty cool to see it in person. A little bit later, I heard a horn off in the distance and then a light pop up. The speed limit for the street running section is 10 miles an hour, so 353 would have traffic stopped for quite some time.
Southbound Grange, X 353, 3422 southbound. X 353, 3422 southbound.
I followed it as it crept its way through town. CSX put new tracks, ties, and asphalt in the last year or so. I've often wondered if the company's actively looking for another route that avoids the street running, but I guess a brief slowdown probably isn't worth the cost it will take to buy land and relocate tracks. There's the DPU again. I often wonder about speed limits. The 10-mile-an-hour is for the street running, but is there a marker that lets the engineer know when they've cleared the slow section like this? I will say, I definitely noticed the speed increasing as the train continued on. If anyone can explain how engineers deal with these slow spots, I would greatly appreciate it. After several minutes and dozens of drivers waiting to get through, the train finally ends. I did a quick signal check and it was all red. A high railer crew was getting on the tracks when I was leaving Worthville, so I figured things would be quiet while they worked.
I'll call them outposts just so you know where I'm at. Copy that. Thank you, appreciate it. CSX Roadmaster Little, high rail vehicle in Sperry, rail test field occupying main track milepost D54.4, southbound direction on the main track under EC1 protection. Roadmaster Little, high rail vehicle 95360 in Sperry.
On to Louisville. Finding a spot to shoot Osborne Yard was more difficult than I expected. I drove around trying to find any clear spots to set up my ground cameras, but I never saw anything. If you know of one, please do share.
To it. Set the brake ahead, you're on the wrong track. Over.
Well, I can't say for sure. I put the Highland Park track in when I plugged it all in, but when it set the brake, it set it on the house. So I don't know. Once I plugged it all in, I didn't really pay attention to what track it set on.
Alright, so you got your track ranked now? Oh.
Yeah, it's in there right now. I thought I hit the right track to begin with, so I don't know what happened.
Before heading down, I checked the airspace since it's right next to the airport. This is a map of that airspace. Here's a quick note about how registered drone pilots are able to fly so close to airports. Most of them use a system called Lance. In the restricted area, you can see these grid boxes. Each one has a number in it. That number is how high you're able to fly an unmanned aerial system, what everybody calls a drone. But you can't just show up and fly, you must get a waiver beforehand. Luckily, what once took several months has been automated and now happens in just a few moments. So within a few seconds, I was cleared to fly for the next 2 hours in this spot at the very corner of the yard. I can only fly 200 feet high though. And if I crossed into this section above the red line to the north, it has a 0, which means absolutely no flights and I'd be in big trouble. So let's take a look around. The yard itself is about 2.5 miles long. I've read that the hump was shut down as part of Hunter Harrison's precision scheduled railroading. I've tried to find information on the yard, but I just can't find anything other than comments from folks. I count 50 tracks in the bowl. If you know differently, please let me know. This train looks like it's doubling out.
I got a little bit of a hydraulic leak, but coming out from underneath the front cab area. Other than that, no issues. The AC's questionable.
This is the closest I've ever flown to an airport. You can actually see a plane coming in for a landing. I wish I could have gotten closer and some better video, but this is as good as it gets.
352-14, medium clear. Central Avenue, Highland Park to number 2 main, CSX locomotive 382 northbound. 52 hot tower, over.
Before leaving Louisville, I decided to stop by Union Station, which is now the home of the Transit Authority of River City. It's one of 5 Union stations in Kentucky, the others being in Lexington, Covington, Paducah, and Owensboro. Union Station welcomed many people into Louisville, with its height being in the 1920s when it served nearly 60 trains a day. As a station, it served not only the L&N Railroad, but also the Monon, the Pennsylvania, and the Louisville, Henderson, and St. Louis. Many of those traveling to the Kentucky Derby would use Union Station as their first place of celebration. Amtrak used the facility regularly from May 1971 until October of 1976. And from December 4, 2001 to July 4, 2003, a track on the west side of the parking lot served Amtrak's Kentucky Cardinal, which ran to Chicago via Indianapolis. Ultimately, this effort failed, though, because the leg between Louisville and Indianapolis ran along jointed rail that limited speeds to 30 miles an hour, so it's faster to just hop in your car and take I-65. Right next door to Union Station is the Louisville and National Railroad office building. It was the home of the L&N Railroad from the mid-19th century through the 1970s. In the 70s, about 2,000 L&N employees worked in the building. But after the railroad was purchased by CSX, nearly all those jobs were moved from Louisville to Jacksonville, Florida. The building's now home to the Louisville offices of the Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Family Services. On my way home, I decided I might as well stop by Glencoe again and check the signals. Sure enough, the same way I started my day was how I would finish it. This time, though, I opted to just stay put and get set up here. A fellow Railfan stopped by and we chatted for a bit. We heard a horn off in the distance, so I sent my drone to investigate. It was another load of auto racks, but this was going much slower than the allowed speed. The engineer brought it to a stop just shy of the crossing. I saw the conductor hop out of the engine and get into a truck with the road foreman, and they went off to the end of the train out of sight. The other Railfan went up and asked the engineer what was going on. He said he was told it was an issue with the coupler. I never did find out exactly what it was, but it wasn't much longer and the train was ready to roll again. They were gaining speed and the light was fading fast. This was a fun trip to the LCL, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know where you'd like to Railfan so I can check it out. I'm always looking for new spots. For our next trip, we'll be back on the Norfolk Southern Main Line. We'll see a few more bridges and some interesting slugs and several KC Southern engines. Till then, hope you have a great day.